Welcome back, everyone, to the Track Packers podcast, officially season 4 in 2025. Welcome. It's right now, it's just myself, Mason, along with the two-time defending champion of our so-called race episode, Jessup Pelkey. How are you doing, sir?
Uh, I would like to be known as my official title as your two-time defending track packer podcast leader.
I don't know if that could fit all on the back of a shirt. I could
We
probably arrange
should
that.
put that on shirts. Oh my goodness, they might sell two.
He might sell two. One from Jessup, and maybe if you convince someone to pay for one, or you
I
pay
bet
for
Brody
them.
would wear one.
Well, yeah, she would. She wouldn't put up a fuss, or too much of a fuss, I would say.
Oh, she would love it. They would just say Pelkey two-time Pelkey.
Two-time Pelkey. Well, how's your 2025 starting off?
It's pretty good, all things considered. Haven't paid any attention to any racing or anything, but that's what happens when you go into dad mode. You You got to bear down on the important things, like things that are always screaming, pooping, and peeing, and sometimes puking on you.
I'm sure it's a full experience.
It is an experience. It's definitely something.
Well, that's good. I've had the pleasure of hanging out with Riley a few times, and I can see why you get distracted.
Yep, she's a very busy young lady, and then when she finally goes to bed or takes a nap, you do all of your other chores that you needed to get done. And as you can kind of see, we're missing one because well, the other Pelkey of the track packers is currently with baby.
Yes, although she will be joining us in a little bit, hopefully, once the the chores are done with Riley, and so we look forward to having Becca on the show as well. John is in the midst of a very, very busy season with work and bowling tournaments, and so that is taking up most of his time during especially January and February. But sounds like it's going to slow down here a little bit over the next few weeks, and so maybe we'll get sneak John in for a CNC potentially because we already had some CNC topics that we've shared on the show, and so sure there won't be any more shortage of those coming up on the season.
No, we got plenty of subjects to discuss. Our first episode was pretty good. We had some good subjects to discuss about, and I think we were objective and fair of our views of the subjects.
I would agree. You can check those out on my Patreon page. I will put a link in the description for that, but that is where we will post the CNC episodes, and we'll probably post just a couple little snippets on the Track Packers Facebook page as well. Speaking of, if you are a listener, thank you so much for listening to us on the Spotify and Apple podcast platforms. We greatly appreciate it. Be sure to give us a 5-star review, and if you provide a written review, we'd love to read it on the show. Jessup has been waiting for the last couple of seasons to read a written review of our show. That'd be a fun way to start off 2025.
I mean, I should write my own review. Dear track packers, that two-time defending champion guy seems really neat. He seems like a cool guy. All of them must look up to him, don't they? And I would say yes.
We look up to him in the running order. That's about it.
That's good enough. Can't, can't be choosy when you're winning.
That's true. You take the wins however you can get them, and you try to keep that lead as long as you can.
Yep. Yep. I agree with that. It's good to be in the lead.
Yep. Yeah, and I agree with you. My focus has not been solely on racing, although I've been pumping out a lot of highlight videos. I'm just starting to kind of get in race mode because, I kind of take a little bit of a breather getting like into football and all that stuff. And then of course the holiday season that just throws a whole wrench in everything. So it's easy to lose sight of racing, even though we've had a bunch of it over the last month or so, which we'll touch on just a little bit in this
Yeah,
first
you're going to be
episode.
touching on it because I've only watched maybe a combined of three heats and a feature.
Oh, I haven't watched a bunch, but I did note down some results and some people that did pretty well.
I cannot wait to hear your recap, and then we can go into a very thorough discussion.
Well, Becca, I think, has got some cool stuff cooked up for some of the results that she was looking at. I'm excited to see it. Anyways, with it being 2025 and the start of a new season, we are so thankful for all you listeners and watchers out there. Of course, go like our Facebook page as well. Go follow the YouTube channel where we post all the episodes as well. And back again for another season as our presenting sponsor, Hitch Harness. Thank you so much, Tyler Hall, for supporting us on the podcast. Although he didn't race a ton this last season, he's busy himself with two kids, one young Lenny and Briggs. And so Briggs, I believe, is going to be getting into racing here in the next year or so. So things are going to start ramping up for Tyler Hall and his family as far as racing goes. But as far as Hitch Harness goes, it is a very innovative product, a subsidiary of ClearArc Industries that focuses on safe and efficient storage for your receiver hitches. If you head over to hitchharness.com, you can pick the style and color of your choosing and check out all the other products they have to help alleviate your travels, your work, whatever it may be in the shop or en route to your next destination. So, hitchharness.com, check out the products. If you have any questions, be sure to get a hold of Tyler. And thank you so much, sir, for supporting us on the podcast for another season. So, we do have an official lineup that we do for every episode. And being that it's just two of us, of course, Jessup's on the pole because, what the heck? Why not? Why change things up? I'm second. Becca's going to be third. John will not be with us this episode, most likely, and so he will tag the rear of the field once he joins on a regular episode. So, with that, I think we should officially start the first episode of 2024 with the waving of the green flag. And who or what are you repping? Jessup, who or what are you repping?
Well, I'm rocking my Casey Artisan shirt. Got this from Mason, who picked it up at the I think it was the Jamestown banquet where we got these.
Yep.
Neat. But that's what I'm rocking. Nothing too wild and crazy, but it's a nice shirt. It's very clean and it pops out very well. And I like black t-shirts. So that's what I'm rocking today.
Yep. And those, I believe, were from either the 2023 Dumpke Racers Memorial. I believe they had a bunch of them made and in memory of Casey Arneson. And so they brought a bunch of them to the banquet. They left them on some of the chairs. And so I know there was a great search for the proper shirt size for certain individuals. And Jessup did not find it in the time that he stayed there, although I gandered a little bit longer and found a size that fit Mr. Jessup Pelkey. And so happily got him a shirt.
Well, people kept looking at me, Mason. They were like, what is he doing? Why is he at our table? And I'm like, don't mind me looking for something. Don't mind me looking for an XL. This is only an L, an XL. Come on now. No,
Well,
that's small. Stop teasing me, people.
there was a wedding I was at in the last year, and they had like at the reception they had all this candy and like I don't remember if it was eggs filled with candy, but in one of them was a $20 bill. And so all the
I thought
kids
that
were
was
going around to
at
each table
I thought that was
and
at
looking for it.
Jamestown Banquet.
Was
Like
it Jamestown's Banquet too with that?
it was 2 years ago because everybody kept looking for the $20 bill, and we had a kid running around from literally every table. I think someone grabbed the egg right before the kid got to it, and then he gave him the egg. He's like, "There's nothing in here."
Dirty pool.
Yeah, it wasn't me. My hands are clean.
Dirty pool. Almost like the experience at Monster Jam yesterday, but that's a whole nother
Hey,
discussion.
hey,
We had a good time.
we had a good time.
Yeah, that was
Big
technically
one,
my
fair
first.
and square. We know this.
That was technically my first dirt race of 2025 because they did do some racing.
Well, we could have a recap.
We do not need to go into a recap because odds are one truck ends up taking the victory about 85% of the time, and that's pretty much all you need to know.
It's not his fault that he won.
No, it's all the collective fan
Well,
base is just like, oh, let's just ignore the mistakes that he made and the destruction he caused. It was cool. Let's vote for him.
I don't understand why you're mad because I thought the guy from Louisiana won. racing.
Are we talking about the same thing?
You're talking about freestyle. I'm talking about racing. I'm a racer
Oh,
at heart.
oh,
Mason,
the racing, yeah,
option. I'm
yeah.
only doing a recap on the racing.
Which is funny because like going to a Monster Jam show, they start with like just the racing of the monster trucks, just a lap around for each of them, one on one. And
It's,
Jessica goes to me, he's like, believe it or not, this is my favorite part of the show.
it is. I mean, ever since they took all the cars and the vans and stuff off the Monster Jam tracks, I also always loved racing as a little kid too. I'm a racing purist of monster trucks and racing or nothing.
Well, I can understand why. It was fun, and it's fun to hear that like they're loud. Those are pretty loud engines.
Yeah, yeah, they are. They're not quiet.
No, definitely cool to hear the roar of those engines for sure.
Some of the kids who sit behind you who scream in your ear
Well,
definitely
yeah.
loud.
We had a few of those in our area of seats.
Yeah, yeah. It was a good time. All in all. Mason, what are you wearing today? Let's get back. Let's get focused.
So standard hat, we're in the Sheldon Hot and Shield hat. One of my favorite hats. And I love the blue and orange colors, and so sticking with that. I normally have a soda that I'm drinking and repping a can koozie. However, I have a half marathon in a week, and so I'm trying not to drink any soda for this week, just to stay as hydrated as I can. So this koozie is of former legend driver Glenn Hellebust. He drove the number 23. I don't remember. I think he was out of Hazen, North Dakota. I think that's where he was from. So he raced at Dacotah Speedway, Nodak Speedway, Underwood during the late 2000s and early 2010s, I believe. And so kind of during my high school years. And so that's where I saw him race. And for the shirt, almost kind of matching my hat a little bit, a loyal listener of the show, I'm repping KCU status in the 2U.
Storm
A nice,
chasing.
simple 2U KCU status. Nothing on the back.
Does he have a good storm chasing like nickname or
That's a great question. Casey, let us know.
yeah.
What's your Storm Chaser name? Did you hear something?
Oh yeah. I heard something. I don't know what if it was a TV screaming or if it was my baby and baby mama screaming out of frustration, but it's okay. They'll get through it. They're the best.
I like it when she just squawks.
Oh, and with that, folks, we're gonna have to take a red flag real quick because like, I think that's the TV, but I really don't want to be on the bad side of Mama Bear. After further review, I think it's gonna be the two of us, Mason. Both Becca and Riley are crashed out hard, and it probably was just the TV that I heard.
Yeah. This wouldn't be the first time this happened.
Oh no, this is gonna happen numerous times the next couple of years.
Well, when I get a notification at like 6 a.m. that Becca Luhu has sent me coins on Mario Kart Tour, that's a good indication that that's a possibility.
It is. Anyways, nice shirt, nice hat. Casey, tell us your storm chasing nickname. We should come up with storm chasing nicknames this summer. Yeah.
We didn't have too much for storm chasing that I can remember last year.
No, but we had movies. We had the new Twister movie.
That was a good movie.
We might have to review all the tornado movies out there. But we're gonna lump Sharknadoes into one.
Yeah, that would be
I
fun to do.
feel like watching 18 Sharknadoes. So just no, it's
I
not happening.
I have not seen Sharknado.
Either have I, but I just have to believe it's not good.
Alrighty. Well, that is who or what we are repping for this episode. We'll transition on into one of our other traditional segments, the Hot Sauce Hot Memory Rewind, with a special shout out to Isaac Hot Sauce Sondrol. Drives the number 12S IMCA Modified. And of course, his season got a little bit abbreviated due to a wreck, unfortunately, on the Dakota Classic Modified Tour last season. But uh, upgraded a lot of his equipment last year, including his modified new trailer. I'm guessing that he's going to be upgrading even more this year. So I wonder if he has a surprise in store for the 2025 season. I'm not totally sure, but it'll be fun to see him back out on the track. He also recently just had welcomed his first child into the world, young Harrison. So congratulations to Isaac and Emily on that. And so if you'd like to follow Isaac's Racing, 12S Racing on Facebook is where you can follow it. And as well, he has some hot sauces in his pits that you can go down and try if he has some of his wings handy. And so thank you, Isaac, for supporting us on the podcast once again this year and look forward to seeing you at the racetrack.
Why haven't we had like a hot wing segment where we just sit down in his pits and eat hot wings with him?
Well, for me, I don't like sauce on my wings, and especially if
That's
it's
too bad,
hot.
Mason. This is more hot sauce in this. I don't
Yeah.
like hot sauce either, but I'm gonna eat hot sauce stuff if they're presenting hot sauce stuff.
See,
Say that fast.
you know
Sauce.
someone who loves hot sauce.
Yeah, I do.
That's who we need to get testing.
This is where we're gonna take this here on out.
Well, the next time we see Isaac, I think he has some of his stuff in his trailer. So we'll have to get with him and see if we can do a sample test and make a little video out of it.
Well, are you ready for the beginning of the 2025 hot sauce hot memory rewind?
Yes, and
All
so
right,
I have three
you want to
ready
go
to
first,
go.
or do you want me to go first? I'll
You
go
go
first.
first.
Okay, folks. So remember, it's been a while, but Mason and our fellow track packers are supposed to name the year that these photos are from, name the driver, and sometimes the class. This should be an easy one. All right.
That is a late model.
Very good, Mason.
One for one for one. The driver is Brian Kakala. Let's see. Who else drove that car? Because that's definitely a Brian Kakala car.
Well, it might be Brian Kakla, but it says Cody Skitland.
Okay, yeah, Cody Skitland did drive that car too, but that's a Brian Kakala car.
Okay.
Year.
Number two
Hmm. Yeah, give me number two.
is even making an appearance in this one.
That's also a late model.
Very good.
That is Jeremy Keller.
Very good.
Closing in on the year. That one helped a little bit. All right. And that's also late model. That's the two of Bill Mooney.
Oh, he's 2 for 2. Now comes the tricky one. Which one is it?
Like year?
Yes,
Oh man.
year. It is time for a year.
I want to say it's either 2010 or 2011. I'll go with 2011.
It is 2012.
That was close.
You were close. I will give you, you did very good without the help of our rain man known as John Brecale.
I was
That
like,
will
I
be
recognize
John's,
those schemes
by the
from high
way,
school, or
that will
I
be
wouldn't have been in high
John's,
school at that point.
that will be John's storm chasing name.
The
Rain
Rain
Man.
Man. Yeah, yeah, that would be a good nickname for him. Alrighty, are you ready for my three?
I will give it a shot, but I don't think I'll be very good at this, as we've noticed
To
before.
to be honest, you might get one out of the three.
That's a lot of faith, Mason. Oh, well, that looks like a late model.
That is correct.
72. Well, I want to say Ryan Aho, but it's not him.
No, that Ryan was a 71.
Yeah, so that's not it. Let's see. The year's going to be 2001.
Yep, I'll give you that.
Let's see. North Dakota guy?
Yep, he's from Minot.
Oh, ooh, that's Minot 72. Why does this sound familiar, but I can't think of the number?
So this driver is
Could be
the
Phil Race.
No, they do not.
Uh,
His son most recently raced a modified and no longer races.
oh, then I'm out.
Okay. This is Robbie Rice, father
Uh,
of Dallas Rice.
hmm. Okay, well, that's kind of a cool looking car.
Yeah. Yeah, it's some pretty looking late models.
He's going
Okay. This next one to cover the signature.
26. Oh, is this a Minot guy or is this a Grand Forks guy?
I believe it's a Grand Forks guy.
Hmm, 26. Oh, I don't know. 26. Is it a Mac?
No, there is a 26 that still races with NOSA, and I believe this is a relation to that.
Let's see.
Can you guess the last name? And then I'll give you the first one.
Now, give me the first one.
The first name is John.
That's real good. 26. Holy crap.
There is a 26 that still races with NOSA. What's his last name?
That's what I'm trying to think here, Mason. Let me do what John does. Uh,
Do you have a cheater site as well?
yeah, it's called My Race Pass in River Cities.
Alrighty. Well, see how long it takes you to come up with it.
26 and first name John. Hmm.
This I don't think this jar doesn't currently race,
No,
but the last name you should get,
let's
especially with
see.
the number.
26. Not Silverwick. Let's see. Strandl's not it. It's not Polkerbeck. Not John Olson?
Nope.
Graham. Oh, Egland?
Yep. The signature it looks like to be John Egland.
It does look like John Egland. Yes. That's a nice looking ride. Very clean.
Nice and simple.
Yep.
Jessup's favorite looking schemes. And then the last one. This one you might get.
Hmm. Sponsored by Independent Pump. Who's the top sponsor?
Top sponsor Prairie Petrochem.
Oh, crud. 29 seems like a familiar number.
Yep, I'll give you a couple hints. This driver still races today and is a Canadian.
Is that a Turnbull? No,
Nope.
it's Les McClanahan.
Correct. Let's look at Ann. What
I like
year was
that.
that photo?
He has clean looking cars.
He does have some nice looking cars. That is. Oh, okay. Can you guess the year on that Les McClanahan car?
2011.
Close. 2010.
Hmm. Well, not horrible, not great.
Not horrible, not
Driving
great.
better with our North Dakota history.
We're slowly getting you rounded back into form. Slowly.
I usually just wait for John to say something and then I shout a name.
He'd be like, "Come on, you should get this. You should get this. You can do it."
Yeah, but he picks like the most obscure people that haven't raced in 20 years, and he's like, "This was a very important racer. He once raced with, he won a heat race with three wheels and one flat."
Well, I could get most of what the ones John picks.
Yeah, but you're from here. I'm from like a totally different area where I could be like, "This is an important racer. They once won a B main at the Silver 1000."
Well, yeah, I won't remember remains at Silver 1000. John remembers that stuff. I definitely do not. Well, there you have it. So that is the hot sauce hot memory rewind for episode 1 of season 4. So I'm going to shift the lineup around a little bit just in case Becca wakes up.
So number one.
Yes, you're still number 1. Let's talk about some of the schedules that have come out recently. I know on one of our last episodes of 2023, we had discussed in length the Nodak Speedway schedule that had come out, and since then we've had several other schedules that have come out, including Dacotah Speedway. I believe Estevan Moore Speedway has shared their schedule as well. Tri-County Speedway. Let's see.
Well, let's pop some of those schedules up here, Mason. Share your screen since you're much more knowledgeable on the tech side than I.
Yeah, I'll start with Dakota Speedway since that one's the first one up on my screen right now. All right, there we go.
Oh, this is good. It says Mason Aaron's Racing started to share. Oh, look at that. It looks like the classic Dakota Speedway schedule.
Well, now I notice a few differences from previous years.
There's a couple differences there. There's the couple weeks have been taken off, it looks like. Big one's going to be that first week of August, is usually a race or a monster truck show, and this year they took it off, which really isn't going to hurt my feelings because this opens up new opportunities to go to some other tracks for a racecation. But overall, it's a nice looking schedule. Looks like the Dirt Series, the Meltdown got moved back a couple weeks. That's nice. Season opener. Oh, that's kind of different there. There's season opener before the Meltdown. That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
Uh, Hobby Stock Challenge and Legendary Tour. That's a big night. Big night. Lots of cars will come through the gates that night. I know they have a couple nights of qualifier nights for the INEX Legends this year. That's a little different. Outside of that, it's pretty standard business as usual, minus having the Iron Man this year, which got dropped to a 1 day show, and then apparently they didn't want to bring it back this year, which is all right.
Well,
Only
and I
issue
see for the
I
Gov Cup with
yep.
soda late models are back.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. That's gonna be an interesting weekend, Mason.
Yeah, just a couple little nuance changes on Dakota Speedway's schedule for this year. I think it'll be nice, and I think like having the Mandan Meltdown the first weekend of May will hopefully provide better weather luck for that event versus trying to get it in April.
We'll see what happens here. I know Minot's trying to get their season opened earlier than everybody else this year, so good luck to them on that. And if they get the races in, great. If not, well, they'll do what Dakota Speedway did and wait.
Yep. Although I heard that you don't really have much snow over there right now.
No, there's nothing.
Dang.
Nothing. They're
We have a
racing now.
we have a little bit, but not a ton right now.
Yep. What's our next track we got coming?
Let's see. I got Botno schedule up.
Oh, I should start when I finally get done with hockey. I should take the time and put all these in.
Yeah, you got to put it in your master schedule.
Which goes on DakotaDirt.org, which has not been touched in 4 months.
Coincidentally, just about the time Riley arrived.
Yeah, odd how that works.
But they got a nice season too. They made their main race night is Saturdays. So most of the races being on Saturday night, including the Tougher Than Dirt race, which is always a great night. And I believe one of them, either the 16th or 23rd of August, is usually like a two-strong memorial race of some sort.
Yep.
So obviously not a ton of races, but a nice solid schedule for Thunder Mountain.
Yeah, that's a nice schedule. Nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be looked down upon. It's a good night, good schedule.
Yep. That's gonna there's a lot of racing going around on that July 5th to 12th time frame, with it being the Dakota Classic Modified Tour, which actually that schedule also got released as well.
Yep.
No big changes there, although I'll bring it up here real quick if I can find it again. Actually, it's e these have most of these have already been shared on Dakota Dirt, so it's easier to kind of sift through Dakota Dirt
Who
on
does?
Facebook.
How dare they?
Yes. Oh, hey, let me bring up Tri-County's schedule.
Bah.
Oh, I can't. It's not a picture, so I gotta just share the Facebook page, I guess.
Great.
Technology. Silly me.
Eh,
Alrighty. So
why don't
there
we
we got.
just have okay, so I do like Wishick sausage.
Yes. I have not had the Wishick sausage yet. That
Really?
is my that is the one of the uh, goals for this year to try the Wishick
Oh,
sausage because apparently it's really good.
next time you come over, we'll have it.
Perfect.
Well, the only thing I'm looking at here that appears to be missing is the sauerkraut 500, and
Yep, that's what I was thinking too.
it'd be interesting if they did something different with their schedule. They got the fair races, the end of the Mary Vetter hobby stock tour there. That'll be a good 2 nights of racing. But it'd be fun if they threw something in early to get their season started, right around that May 29th or that June 5th date.
Well, their first race is May 29th.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
So, yeah, and I think some of the tracks I know, not necessarily in our immediate area, but I know like Norman County, for example, they don't start until the end of May due to like school.
Yep.
So a
Oh,
lot of because a lot of like sometimes a lot of your concession workers and a lot of volunteers come from like high school, and so trying to get them to help at the track, and then in Norman County's case, the track is like right across the street from the high school, so that makes things a little challenging in that aspect too. So yeah, end of May for a lot of tracks seems to be a more common opening date than one would think. But yeah, it'd be kind of fun to see them sprinkling a race earlier in the schedule as well. Estevan.
yeah.
Pretty similar schedule as previous years. They always have some fun races on the schedule, like the Dirt Wars, their doubleheader that they do.
So, what is the Dirt Wars for those of us who do not know?
So basically, it's two full shows, but they basically have the this massive trophy. It's like a I don't know if it's called like an oil derrick or what it may be, but I believe each night the winners of each feature get that, and I don't remember if they do a 2-day champion or not.
Oh, huh. All right. This one's kind of cool.
Yeah, but the trophies are super nice. Like they're really cool trophies. So
E-
they race on Saturdays, and so they got a few races early on in May. Tougher than Dirt Tour, along with the Dakota Classic Modified Tours, some of their standout nights besides Dirt Wars, and finishing up in late August. And they also will have, I think they do one or two enduros during the season as well.
hmm. Well, looks like a good schedule.
Yep, nice and simple. 10 or 11 shows. Sometimes people think like, well, that's not too many shows, but then you get a bang for your buck. So you really get the fans really wanting to like go out to as many races as you can. So you create excitement. It's like, okay, there's only a limited amount of opportunities to get to the racetrack, and so you want to make the most of those opportunities. Now we got, let's see. Here's the mod tour schedule. No major changes here. Hopefully Mother Nature cooperates, unlike last year for Jamestown.
No, only thing that's interesting is that Tuesday the 8th, after some of the shenanigans that happened last year, it was questioned if the tour would go back to Williston, but that's good to see it back on there. Always an interesting night of racing there, and it's very memorable.
Yep, and completely new regime.
Yep,
New board,
second
new
year.
board, new board of directors. Bland Bohannon, IMCA modified driver, is the president of the board this
Yep.
year over at Williston. And so I know they have a bunch of ideas and a bunch of things they want to improve on for 2025. And so best of luck to Bland and the entire crew over there at Williston, and hope for some really good things and some great racing and fun over at the Williston Basin Speedway.
Yeah, I think Landon and his crew should do a pretty good job over there and get that track back to where it needs to be and see how this year goes.
Now, I can't remember if we discussed this on our show, just as I'm scrolling through posts here. Did we discuss this Legend Dirt Nationals at Nodak Speedway in October next year?
We did a little bit. I think we did.
I know we've talked about it a bunch off air, but I just don't like I don't remember us talking about it on the show. That I find this to be a very fascinating decision because Nodak obviously doesn't race weekly legend races, but with the way they revamped their schedule, legends have been racing there more later on in the summer once their main point season is done in May and June. And so it's more of like a wild card track for legend drivers, maybe a little more familiarity now that they've got more races. But for those that are traveling from out of state, this is a complete wild card track.
Yeah, this one caught a lot of people off guard. It really, logistically speaking, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's good to see that Nodak is going to get a premier event, and hopefully they have 3 nights of really good racing. And yeah, it's one that is a bit of a head scratcher, but I think you'll get all the North Dakota guys there, and then we'll see how many travelers want to go to the one of the premier racing facilities in North Dakota.
Yeah. And I remember we were kind of watching the car counts closely on the Legend Dirt Nationals when it was over in North Carolina or wherever it was,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, one of the two. The car counts weren't great. I'll just put it that way. I I guarantee it's going to be way higher over here for the Dirt Nationals at Nodak Speedway this upcoming year. And so that I think it's awesome that we have that event going on in the state of North Dakota this year. I hope that we have more opportunities at some of the other tracks that host legend classes more regularly for an opportunity, like Dakota Speedway, Jamestown. I know Red River Valley's hosted in past years, and so hopefully they get a nice welcoming crowd that comes in from like the national scene and they enjoy their time here.
Yep, I hope it goes well with for them. It's going to be another at least 5, 6, 7 years before it gets back out here again after this year. So hopefully all goes well, and maybe they can come back sooner than 7 years or so, because I think there's a lot of other tracks. Um, I don't know if you could say more deserving, but uh, well, I would say other tracks that race them weekly that probably should have had a better crack at it than what they probably got.
It's a fair assessment.
Yeah, but we'll see. I nothing against Nodak. It just I think it would have made better sense at a different track to represent North Dakota and North Dakota Legends Racing.
Yeah, like I
And I'm
said,
not even saying it should be at Dakota Speedway. That'd be an easier drive for me, but uh, I don't know. I just figure a track that races it weekly and has a pretty loyal following of legends in that area would make more of a statistical and logistical point.
I don't know if we've officially had a CNC on this, but I know we've had some discussions between the four of us on like location wise and like the pros and cons.
Well, if you look at the pros, Minot's got a lot of good things. They got a pretty large. They got a pretty large pit. They got all the amenities right around the track for the most part, so it's not a bad place for it. It just they don't race them weekly,
Mhm.
and the giant base of your North Dakota Legends is not from the northwest part of the state.
But then a pro to it would be that some out of towners or out of staters basically are thinking like, well, they don't have as much experience at this track like the locals per se. So it kind of gives us like more of an equal footing versus if they're somewhere where legends race there all year round and they have a pretty much dialed in setup for them to
Oh,
do
oh.
well.
Whereas when North Dakota drivers who make up a quarter to a third of the field at the other dirt nationals have to go to those people's home tracks.
Right.
So if so, fact so, it should
Yep.
be one of the tracks that everyone has a setup for, and let the outsiders figure it out.
Because even when the Legend Nationals was in Fargo, like some of the out of staters, like the national point runners, they caught on pretty quick.
Oh yeah, it doesn't take much to catch on.
Yeah. They'll adapt quickly. And
Yep,
so
but
it'll
I
be
mean,
fun to see.
it's a good location. It's got all the amenities around it. The facilities are top notch, and I just don't like looking through a giant stage in the middle of the track.
The funny thing is, I've gotten so used to that that I forget that it's even there anymore.
Well, I get that, but
It's
man,
still annoying. I do agree.
but that's just an opinion and a feeling that I have. Chop the stage down, everything else would be good.
Oh, believe me, life without that stage was awesome.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to watch the World of Outlaws there. But it'll be a good night of racing there, but we still have to look through the stage.
Yes. Speaking of outlaw-ish type cars, the Western Renegades also posted a tentative schedule. They don't have a poster,
Oh,
but they have a relatively good list of tracks that they're willing to visit. I see that April 26th Devil's Lake is on there. I don't think Devil's Lake has officially released their schedule,
isn't it
but
fun finding out those little tidbits and schedule releases by accident?
yeah, it's fun to kind of do that, to kind of be like, could kind of fill in the
Well,
dots.
the best is when the World of Outlaws drop all their schedules and the east side of the state accidentally has to release their, or someone else releases their schedule for them.
Every little bit helps when making a schedule. Although, don't worry, you still got some time, Jessup.
Oh, I know.
The Western Renegades have a nice schedule. Their home track, of course, is the Devil's Lake Speedway, so they race there quite a bit. But they also are venturing around to other places, including a Southwest Speedway in Dickinson. They got doubleheader in Underwood during the McLean County Fair. They'll be in Minot a handful of times. Grand Forks, of course, Jamestown's back on the schedule again, and so they get to venture all around the region. And they have
Yeah,
a show in Williston and Estevan on the 8th and 9th. So couple different venues there as well. I believe this will be their first time up in Estevan. I know they've been in Williston before, but this will be their first time up at the Estevan Motor Speedway.
yeah. I just saw a pretty nice post on a unrelated sprint car site saying that they would be up in Canada, so that's a pretty exciting deal for them.
Yeah, so they get to travel all over the North Dakota area, in which I almost forgot about one more track from North Dakota, the McLean County Speedway.
McLean, John McLean.
So
It's a Christmas.
obviously this is more of a scheduled like a dates that they have. They don't have like the classes all set to go, but they at least put the dates out there so that way people can kind of mark them off on their calendars as potential race nights.
That's a nice schedule release. Gonna be interesting seeing a couple of the nights what classes are going to be raced. But overall, it should be a pretty fun season over at the McLean County Speedway.
Yep, the Tougher Than Dirt Tour. I believe that's the first race of the Tougher Than Dirt Tour, or traditionally it's been the opening night of it.
That probably is one of my favorite races there.
Yes, that's right. You and John get to go up there almost every year.
I know about it. People make fun of me for liking that race a lot, but it, it's a very entertaining night of racing, and you see some wild stuff that you may never see anywhere else.
Yeah, it seems like that night there's like if even if there's not a full moon out, it seems like the racing action itself lends to believe that there's a full moon somewhere in the vicinity.
I'm trying to think if it was fair or tougher than dirt. I think it was tougher than dirt when the random truck pulled out onto the backstretch and parked.
Oh,
I think it was in the middle. It was either in the middle of a caution or right as a caution was coming out, or something else, and they just parked and dropped the tailgate and sat on the. Everyone's like, "Oh." So then they were politely informed to escort themselves off the premises, and then instead of driving themselves back out where they came from, they must have got lost somewhere and then parked their truck right next to the grandstand.
yeah. Well, it is because it
Usually
is easy
would
to
be,
access the backstretch off the highway a little bit. So
well, there's the frontage road, yeah, but
yeah.
yeah, they found all the way. They pulled right. It was so casual too. They pulled right up to the edge of the backstretch, and they're like, "We will sit here."
Hey, you gotta make yourself comfortable. It's kind of like that white van that
Huh?
used to be out at the Devil's Lake Speedway.
Which honestly, if they could figure a way out where they could just do a tailgating section in the back where you just pull up to the backstretch and park your truck or vehicle, that probably would be a pretty nice spot for them.
Yeah, very true. All right, so those are pretty much all the North Dakota schedules. I did want to touch on one Minnesota track real quick. Our friends over at Fiesta City.
Oh, what
Good
do you
old
talk?
Juanita and the crew down there. Let me get that popped up on the screen.
Oh, yes, this is a schedule.
Yeah, so they started beginning of May. They race on Friday nights typically for their regular season, and so they got a lot of races on their schedule. They have a
On
couple
the
touring
best.
series coming in, including the Challenge Series, the Structural Buildings Late Model Challenge Series. I believe the first time the Fastlane Superstock Series will be there as well, and the
Oh,
Dirt Race Central Street Stock Tour will also be there as well during the summer. And so
that
they
thing is big.
got some great races. The Timmy Imes ALS race is also a very big one that they uh, put a lot of work into, and so uh, nice little schedule over at Fiesta City Speedway.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, seems like the highlights are going to be right dead set in the middle of their race season. So that's kind of different than most tracks, which are usually either the beginning or the end. These guys put it right smack dab in the middle. So that's going to be, I think, advantageous for them as a lot. They won't have to compete with a lot of other tracks during special season.
That is true. Yeah, those are some big nights. They get a pretty solid car count on those nights, and so I know Jordan continues to. Anytime I go down there, he's always like, "Did you bring Jessup along?" And I'm like,
No,
"Didn't
Jessup's got,
want to jump
yeah,
in."
I'd like to go, but Jessup's hands are very full.
Well, hey, maybe maybe during that stint off at Dakota Speedway in late July, early August,
What's the
maybe.
other one? We have another. Go back to that schedule.
Right back up. All right. They pretty much race almost every Friday. Besides the end of June, well, I think the Wednesday, June 25th is a fair night.
Mm.
I think that's their county fair.
Oh, I
And then
would
the
go
TBDs, I'm not sure what they got planned for that.
that first weekend of August will probably be down in Iowa.
Yeah, we're tentatively planning an Iowa trip during that week.
We're booked. I'm sorry. We're not going anywhere but Iowa. Maybe somewhere on the way to Iowa, but Thursday through Tuesday, it's Iowa, North Dakota.
I'll keep working on them, Jordan. I'll try to
Oh,
get Jessup
what's
down
the
there
other
at some
Dakota
point.
Speedway night that we have up? I should know this, but let me pull that up. Dakota.
Well, while you're doing that, the last one I'll highlight because that got released just a few weeks back was the Street Stock Tour schedule.
Oh,
We
okay.
have there's a couple new changes or new updates to that schedule compared to last season, which I'm excited for, and hopefully Mother Nature will cooperate because last year was a pain in the butt. So traditional opening weekends and Viking Speedway on Memorial Day weekend, got a break, and then doubleheader at I-94. We go back to KRA Speedway. It's been a few years since the tour's been at KRA Speedway, followed by Fiesta City, and Madison is back on the schedule once again. Princeton we had on the schedule last year, but rain wiped that one out along with Ogilvy. New track, Rice Lake Speedway. Looking forward to that one. That one's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to going to Rice Lake Speedway for the tour there.
How many
And
times?
then, what's that?
You've been there already.
I have, but that's only for just the little dream race. It's a whole different animal.
What? The Little
The little
Dream?
dream race is a whole different animal.
Well, they gotta put the tires on the same way, one lug nut at a time.
Yeah, but it's like the mindset is so different, and then like the heads aren't totally screwed on Little Dream Night any as it is. So
Yeah, it is what it is, Mason.
yeah, I get it. It's a lot of money they're racing for. And I think the big thing I'm excited for is Championship Weekend at Jamestown in our backyard.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yeah.
That will be a good one. Maybe Kayla won't forget the mac and cheese again.
Well, she made up for it last year. She did a really good job on mac and cheese this year.
Good.
Even if mac and cheese doesn't totally agree with my stomach these days, I can make preparations to help with that.
Why are you sick on mac and cheese already? Really?
No, no, it's just I need to make sure I take something with it. So, so that is the latest updates on our schedules. And again, our good friend Jessa Pelkey at Dakota Dirt will eventually have these loaded in the master schedule for the North Dakota tracks
For
when,
sure.
whenever he gets time.
We'll have it when my hairline goes from here back up to here, and the Widow's Peak is just like a fishing cove. Hey, it
Fun
happens. It's real,
Fun
folks.
fact for the listeners and watchers out there, if you look at a picture of Jessup and then a picture of Riley, they almost have the same shape of hair right now.
I don't know what you mean by that, Mason.
I'm just saying you like resemble each other.
That's mean.
Anyways, uh Becca's not here, so this will be fun to try to go through this segment of the Track Pack report of winter racing. What winter racing did you get to watch, Jessup?
Well, I've watched a heat of the Lucas Oil late models down in uh, Baltec. That was interesting. And then I watched the end of the stock cars where Kate and Woody beat Shelby Williams as one of the Storbakkens was chasing them down for the win. And let's see, there watched a couple of heats of the Tulsa Shootout. I watched a couple highlights of Chili Bowl, which wasn't much, and that's about it. We There's too much racing to follow, and nothing really strikes me my fancy. And I heard, oh, the other one I heard was that um, Wild West Shootout got snowed out.
Yeah.
It should be Wild West Snow Out.
Yeah, one of the nights of the Wild West shootout got snowed out, and let's just say Nate Reinke was not pleased about it.
Hey, should have it in Arizona, not in New Mexico.
Yeah, that's such a bummer.
Yep.
Although Vado it is a nice track. It just location wise, it's just
Oh,
not as accessible and seems
from what
feasible.
I've seen and heard, it's state of the art type track. It's got
Hmm.
pretty much the best of everything, and the layout's really good, and it's just in a terrible location.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone will come on here and send messages saying, "This is not a terrible location. You don't know racing." It's a terrible location.
It's way, I think that's way southern New Mexico.
Yeah, I don't know, it's somewhere closer to the border than here.
Yeah. Were you fascinated by my steering wheel spinning in the
I
background? Is that
was.
what you,
I was amused by it.
yeah. My PlayStation shut off, and so that's what happens. It uncalibrates or whatever.
That's all right.
Well, so there's several different events going on. Wild West Shootout down at
Oh, but
Ottawa.
there was one other event I watched. I watched two of the features of the high limits over in Australia.
Oh, they already started?
Oh yeah, they're in the deep thick of things right now in the Australian summer.
Wow.
So sprint car season's getting pretty hot and bothered down there, which is
Dang.
unfortunate because now with all the new events that people keep trying to put on over here, it keeps all the drivers from over here going over and challenging the drivers over there.
Yeah. So kind of previewing a CNC we had, Jessup and I discussed the pros or the cons, whatever you might want to call it, of the saturation of winter racing as it is. Because it's a lot to keep track of, even though it's like only a handful of events. But during this time of year, it's kind of like our brains are shut off from racing in a sense. So, like with Winter Nationals, Wild West, I mean, you have the Chili Bowl, which is a traditional one, and then the Ernie Mincy early thaw that just took place. It's like I have a hard time myself keeping track
Rest
of all
of
of
them
it.
too. There's the uh, Georgia Lucas Oil race weekend, and then now there's the one random Florida race weekend for the late models, and then there's a couple little other events that are popping up here and there, and the Winter Nationals 4 weeks or whatever week, how many weeks it is.
Yeah,
It's not four, it's like two, but still, that's one too many.
yeah, it's a lot. So, I have results. I guess a snapshot of results from Wild West Shootout, but I just wanted to bring up one night of the Winter Nationals because Becca was my gal on Winter Nationals. We had a lot of drivers from this area go down. So I kind of just wanted to peruse through some of the drivers that went down. I know Sean Strand, he went down there and did really well.
Yep.
He's always really fast down there. Of course, Colin Hibden's another good one.
Is he
Spencer
still
Wilson.
located in North Dakota? Because they made a big post about how they're not they're going out on their own thing, but I,
I believe Collins lives in Fargo because he's kind of running a business now here.
yeah, but I thought he stepped away from the Garnison Racing Crew. What is it? El Dorado.
I don't think so. I could be wrong on that. I mean, I haven't been
I might have
totally in the
misread
loop, but
how I might have misread into how that post was worded, but it made it seem like they were leaving North Dakota.
yeah, I haven't seen anything at least that leads me to believe that, I guess. But I could have missed something too. You know, Facebook is great nowadays for keeping us informed.
Yeah, great algorithms.
Right. Devin Fouquet down there, Tate Johnson, who I believe got his first modified win. I think he got his first modified win down there during Winter Nationals. So good job to Tate Johnson, that whole crew. I know Brad Johnson, the dad, was very, very excited over that win.
Yep.
Brady Biella, a regular that goes down there during the off season. Chris Tuchscher got a lot of racing action. He was racing both a modified and a stock car. I believe he was actually racing Ryan Satter's old IMCA stock car. Looking at some photos, so that makes me wonder if he's going to be racing, doing double duty during the summer up here. I'm really curious on that.
Yeah, those questions are going to be coming in hot and furious here. Who's going to be racing what, where they're racing, and if we're going to have any mods left this year.
Well, here's a new one. Levi Wald from Surrey. He was a sport mod driver last year. He's now racing a modified. He went down to Winter Nationals as well. Trying to see if there's any other from this first night of mods. Sean Keena, who got into the mod ranks last year, he was down there racing quite a bit. So definitely a good contingent of modified racers down at
Yep.
Winter Nationals. Stock cars, we had some down there. I know Todd Heinrich, he got a feature win, at least one feature win down there. Looked really good, actually, from the highlights that I saw. Jordan Zilmer, he's a frequent traveler come winter time, especially with all his farming stuff. This is kind of his free time. A lot of these drivers that go down have jobs that are a little slower this time of year or farmers, so they can kind of take some time away. Caden Woody, he's been down there. He got a win in, I believe, the sport mods, but he also races a stock car as well. Jason Berg in the 46 down there as well. There's Chris Tuchscher in that 67. Jason Storbakken, he's got a good contingent crew down in the Arizona area. And Gabe DeShaw was also down there in a stock car and sport mod. Cruising through Derek Appert, stock car from Hazleton, down there as well. Jeremy Hare, he's kind of in that same crew. So some good representation in modified and stock cars. Jake Smith driving a sport mod. I don't know whose sport mod he was driving because it was a number 19. Can't really think of who that was, especially out of that central Minnesota area. Ryan Peary, who's from California, has been on a tear to start the year. He's been really quick. Mentioned Gabe DeShaw, uh, Caden Woody, Tim Goodwin. He had an up and down couple of weeks. There were some weeks, some races where he was run up towards the front, and then other nights that he just got cut up in other people's messes. And so, Rich Pavlicek, who has a very nice looking car down there as well, he had a pretty strong week. Kelly Henderson coming out of his ninth or 10th different retirement. He's back behind the wheel of one of Brad Johnson's sport mods. What? We could give Kelly a little bit of grief.
Retirement is permanent. He's just
He's just what?
of waiting.
All right. Let's see. Briggs Christensen from Williston, the 615. I think that's all the sport mods. I could be missing some that came down later in the weeks. Jonathan Taylor, he's got a nice looking hobby stock out of Tioga. Nathan Cole from Minnesota, Caleb Storbakken from Williston. So I know Becca made some fancy looking graphics kind of showcasing some of the drivers that did do well down there. And so I'll try to post those in the show as we're talking as well. And so, yeah, so there's a lot of drivers that went down there for the IMCAtv Winternationals. Congratulations to all the drivers that won features or did well down there as well. And then just a little brief thing on the Wild West Shootout. I want to give a shout out to guys like Nate Ranke, got a few top fives, also rolled his car over, so he had the whole experience down in Vado. Scott Bintz, 5 for 5 on top tens down there.
He does well down there. I don't know what it is, but he's always in right there in the money at the end of every race down there.
Yeah, I he's got a knack for that place. I know he's running a little bit stronger towards the end of the year up here, so hopefully that success carries into the season up here because it's fun to see Scott do well. It'll be fun to see him in victory lane because he's fun to watch celebrate in victory lane.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. So those kind of like the quick shouts I wanted to do from the Wild West and IMCAT Winter Nationals. We'll do a little recap of some of the results from the Ernie Mincy early thought in the next episode to kind of break it up.
Inaugural Ernie Mincy early thought.
I don't know why it's the inaugural. It's the second year they're doing that.
Now, my question is, if last year was the inaugural, and this year there's 2 weeks, is it the inaugural Ernie Mincy thought?
I'm I'm lost.
I don't know. I just think it's funny and it's fun to poke fun at.
I yeah, I do not know exactly. So that's the track pack report for this week. We will do another little episode with the Ernie Mincy early thought at a little later date for you folks out there. In the meantime, we'll display the white flag and give a shout out to our other returning sponsor for the track packers of the season, the real deal, Brody Carlsrud in the B1 IMCA stock car. What a pretty solid season last year. I don't believe he broke into victory lane last year, but he had several strong runs. Did a little bit of traveling, raced mainly over at River Valley Speedway in Norman County and also the North Central Speedway in Minnesota. And so I was over at his shop this last week. It's got some new stuff in the works. Don't know if I can totally reveal the new stuff in the works, but he's very excited for this season. And so be sure to go check out his Facebook page, Brody Carlsrud B1 Racing, to stay up to date on his racing. And also check out his podcast, The Real Deal with B1, which he'll be kind of sharing kind of his season recap and what he's looking forward to for the upcoming 2025 season. So thank you so much, Brody, for supporting us on the podcast as well. So before we kind of sign off, Jessup, do you have any upcoming projects as far as racing goes over the next couple weeks?
Well, I know they got that Legend and Slingshot and kart race going on I think it's next weekend. No, 2 weekends.
Oh yeah, so the Southwest Speedway kind of heads that up, or the Rough Rider Association, I should say.
Yep, yep, those guys are in charge of it. It should be their third race of this event of this type. First one was well attended. Second one was ill timed, and people had a lot on their schedule still. So this one should be hopefully well attended again. Track seemed a little better the second time than the first time, but we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed for a good turnout. They got the old swap meet going on in Bismarck. I believe that's going to be, it's either February 14th or 15th. It's the Saturday, and if you want information, reach out to John Gartner Sr. as he's heading that up. A lot of good vendors already. Um, Let me see if I can. Can you
I,
pull up his Facebook?
I got it.
You're looking at. I know Jeremy Keller's selling some stuff, um, but there's a lot of good drivers there. That the 15th over at the Mandan Eagles. So pretty, you know, wide variety of stuff that can be there. It'll be hot rod, demo derby, tractor pull, burnout stuff. You name it, there's a good chance it could be there. So should be
And
pretty good.
this used to be a thing that happened every year, but it's been a few years since a swap meet like that this has occurred, correct?
Yeah, I believe it's said someone said it's been like 10 or so years. It
Oh,
hasn't happened since I've been here, so that's all of seven.
yeah. So I mean, he's got a list of drivers that'll be have some
Yeah.
stuff there to check out. I believe this is actually the same day as that Bakken Shootout over in Watford City. So that's going to be a busy racing weekend when you think about it. So I believe they have practice on the Friday for the Bakken Shootout, racing on Saturday morning in the afternoon, the swap meet on Saturday for all the racers, and then you have the Daytona 500 on that Sunday.
Yeah, it should be a good weekend of racing for them.
So that's definitely something to look forward to, the Daytona 500. Maybe we'll do a little preview episode for the 500 to see what kind of shenanigans are going to be in store for that race and beyond for NASCAR. Also, another CNC topic.
Well, yeah, NASCAR gets a good kicking every time we have a CNC. Uh, but we'll see if we're even allowed to do fantasy this year. See if NASCAR's webpage will let us do that. And yeah, should be a good time. Got to get through the clash, which is today. See
Yeah,
if
that's
anybody
right.
survives. That should be started here pretty soon, actually. But
Yep, just a couple hours from now.
yep. But that's all I really got. It's once we get a little closer, maybe we'll dial it in a little more and focus. But I look forward to being your three-time defending track packer champion.
Well, half the battle is just showing up to the podcast. You and I are the only ones that show up every week.
Really, we should keep account of this because there should be some sort of point system here. Whoever has the most points at the end of the year would be the overall winner.
Yeah, we should. That would be fun to do.
We go 4 points for first and two show up points because that'll help separate things.
But we have to have like bonus points for like leading the race at some point during the podcast.
Well, that's gonna be me.
Well, you've locked up the most points for leading the majority of this episode.
Yeah, so uh majority of podcasts is gonna be extra point. Or should we have stages?
No,
That's
we're not doing
that's
stage points.
wherever the sponsorship comes in.
No, we're not doing stages. We're
Come on,
doing
man.
away with stage points.
Why?
Actually, well, I mean, stage points itself is fine. I'm okay with that. I just hate the cautions.
Yeah, well, get over it. It's here.
I know. There's a lot
Hey,
of stuff I have to get over that I'm not over.
tell me more about how you feel about the number positioning.
Well, yeah, that's a whole hot button subject of mine. Stupid looking. Uh, I just have highlight videos that I'm working on. That's pretty much my main focus over the next few weeks.
Well, you're more than welcome to come over to our house. I think we're gonna get all the godparents over for the 500, and I think Riley's grandma will be in town. So we got to keep
Ooh.
it kind of local this time. Unfortunately, we want to go get over to Critter's party, but I don't know if this year is going to be the year for it.
Well, it's understandable when you have a newborn and everyone's coming to see her and,
Yeah,
spend some time
it's
together.
tough. It's tough. But what do you do?
Should be a good time regardless.
It
With
should,
that, that'll do it for the opening episode of season 4 for the Track Packers podcast. As always, be sure to like, share, comment. If you have any questions or subjects you'd like us to discuss, feel free to leave them in the comment section and leave us a 5-star review. Thank you to our sponsors, Hitch Harness, The Real Deal with B1 Brody Carlsrud, and Isaac Hot Sauce Sondrol. It's the beginning of February. We still have a lot of time until racing season starts. So hopefully you get everything all set to go so you can go out there and pack the track.